Hey everyone, I'm your host, Robbie Strazynski. Thanks so much for joining us on episode number 68 of Cards Chat, the friendliest poker podcast in town. Today's guest has already done it all in the poker world, and he's still just 33 years old. He was first a legendary figure from the online poker days of Rail Heaven, winning millions of dollars in the biggest games ever seen. He then transitioned to the live world, where he's earned over $4.3 million in tournament earnings, plus 5 WSOP bracelets, the most recent of which came just a few weeks ago. He's a longtime poker coach and also a family man and a proud girl dad. Brian Hastings, welcome to the Cards Chat podcast.
Thanks, Robbie. Thanks for having me.
Cool. It's good to see you. And it's really cool. It's fun. I remember you from the Rail day, the Rail Heaven days, and oh my God, Brian Hastings. It's cool to get to, be able to speak to you in this format and do a full-on interview. We've met each other in person also just a few weeks ago. We'll touch upon that. But it's really nice to get to know you. And that's also sort of my thing. Is like, I feel like I've known you for years and years. 33 years old, man. Like, I feel like you've been around forever. It's just kind of incredible. People kind of know about you from those early days, the high stakes online games, the highest ones really that have ever been around from like mid to late 2000s. So, I mean, you didn't start out playing in those super nosebleed games. You must have started out somewhere lower than that on the totem pole. Can you tell us, where you began your poker career?
Yeah, so yeah, it's funny you mentioned like railing those games because I mean, before I played in those games, I was also the guy logging on to watch them.
Okay.
But yeah, so I started out basically, Moneymaker Poker Boom in 2003, poker on TV started becoming a thing. I was in high school at the time,
Right.
maybe like a freshman or sophomore in 2003, depending on what time it. Anyway, started playing just little, home games with my friends, just like $5 tournaments and such at whoever's house, that kind of thing. Then I had a math teacher, my junior and senior year of high school, who told us he played online poker. And one day he told me and some other friends that he had made more money playing online than teaching the previous year. And I was like, whoa, wait, you can do that? That's crazy.
So you had
So
such a great bond with your math teacher at that age.
yeah, we still talk actually. I just texted him a few weeks ago, and yeah, he came up in some other interview. Yeah, so basically that's what motivated me to want to play online. Of course, I was in high school, but
Right.
luckily my friend was able to deposit some money online with his mom's credit card, and he's transferred me money, and that's how I got started.
The wild, wild west days. That's for sure. Oh, what is it? I mean, you saw it on TV. A lot of us, so many of us, that came into poker at that time. You weren't able, at under 21, you weren't able to go to Vegas yet and chase that glory with the bricks in your hand like Moneymaker did. So, what is it that you were kind of hoping for when you saw that type of success? What enchanted you about the game?
Well, I mean, I guess at first, yeah, I mean, I definitely watched all the like stuff on TV and thought that was really cool, but yeah, it was like sort of like in the distance, I guess. But then when I started getting online, so that first deposit was on Ultimate Bet, and then I would like notice like the high stakes games going on there, like like my teacher I was talking about was playing like 5-10 no limit or so no limit.
Wow. That's
But
pretty high
then,
already. Yeah.
but then I saw like the really big games. I was like, "Whoa, who's playing 50, 100? That's crazy!" And like,
Right.
so then I would start like watching some of those games while I was like playing my, I started out playing $10 buy-in games, so like five
Sure.
cent, 10 cent, no limit, and then some like $5 sit and goes and that kind of thing.
Mhm.
So, but on the side, I would watch the big games, and that was kind of like a goal to like just kind of at least I don't know if I ever thought I could get there, but just kind of keep improving and seeing how good I could get.
So you ascended like pretty darn rapidly, I guess would say within the space of 3 years. Was it less than that to the high stakes games?
Yeah, I'd say about maybe like 2 years or so.
Okay.
I think like the first like 6 months or so I played on Ultimate Bet, I like pretty much just broke even, and like I had some where I'd run it up to like a few $100s and then back down and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
And then I remember I had a tournament score where I won a $10 tournament for like 3,000, and that was like a huge bankroll boost at the time.
Yeah.
And then that helped me like kind of start ascending the cash game stakes a little bit faster.
Right.
And then I remember I just went on a big run where like I just would move up to the next stake like every couple months or so, like,
Right.
1-2 to 2-4 to 5-10, like just keep going and going, and
Sure.
it's kind of just how it went.
Well, I mean, the games were very different back then. The skill levels were very
Yes.
different back then. You don't need me to tell you that, obviously, but 15 years later, we're a lot wiser. Just as far as so many players having so much access to poker training and to get better. The learning curve is so steep. It's like I'm wondering again. You progressed through those stakes. Yes, you ran well. But is that even possible? That type of a run good, progressing through the stakes so swiftly in 2 years in today's, poker scene, or is that just, luck of the timing,
I don't think it's really possible at the rate, as quickly as I did it. I would think that's nearly impossible to like rise up from like, a small amount of money and just go rise up stakes that fast. But it is possible to do it. I mean, it just, the win rates aren't going to be as high, so it's going to take more volume and more time and more work and everything. But I do think, you still do see people doing it today. I mean, like someone like Landon Tice has obviously been visible recently as like a young guy who kind of did the come up. So, and there's many more out there too. But yeah, definitely the game has changed a lot. So yeah, like exactly what I did then was not entirely replicable now, but yeah, it is, still possible to make your way up.
One of the things you did then, it's just, you can't help but mention it. You kicked Viktor Blom's butt, 4.2 million dollars in a single session. This was, again, I remember those days where, Viktor Blom, maybe he's not talked about so much now, but in those days it was Isildur. Who was this guy who's, destroying Ivy and Antonius and Dwan and these pots? It's like, the mystery man. Then all of a sudden he gets chopped down and in just like an unimaginable way. I mean, even today, 15 years later, $4.2 million is a lot of money. Maybe it happens in, like the private games that we don't get to know about with like the, the super duper billionaires of the world, but that is just massive. How do you look back upon that, all these years later?
It's funny because I think, I mean, it was definitely like I'm definitely like glad it happened. Let's get that out of the way. But I feel like most of the time I'm asked about it, it's just kind of like, oh, like that's what someone knows me for, and like, I feel like I'm so much more than that.
Sure.
So yeah, like kind of, I'd say my initial reaction whenever anybody brings it up is usually a little bit of like hesitation, like, oh, I really got to talk about this again. But no, I do realize just how, just one of a kind of a thing it was, and a lot of stars had to align for it to happen that way.
I mean, like you said, it's difficult, a kind of difficult thing to replicate. I can't think of any other examples of any other players doing anything like that. That's why, and I imagine many people keep asking it.
No, like, yeah, I mean, there's nothing really like it today. I mean, I know there's some big games going on in like GG poker and stuff, but just, yeah, I mean, it's not the same. And certainly like heads up was a bigger thing back then too.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, there are still some heads up matches that going, but I mean, I think in the recent past they've tended to be more like organized matches, like the Galfond Challenge and such.
Yeah.
But back then, I mean, people would just go on and battle heads up and like battle with other good players. Like that's not really a thing that happens too much anymore. There's a little bit, but back then it was like a lot of it. And yeah.
You miss those back then times? You kind of wish you could go back to anything in particular, like, oh, I wish that was still a thing.
I mean, I definitely, those days of online poker were certainly a ton of fun. Like, I mean, I love that part, just like, competing at high stakes and battling against everyone, and just kind of, it was more, the game was a lot less solved. So it's, strategically it was just different in that way. And it's just funny to look back and think about how much I didn't know that. And even though I was like, I think definitely at the time I was one of the very best heads up PLO players. But even like looking back now, like I would get destroyed by like anybody today who's playing like mid stakes heads up PLO probably. Like,
okay, well, that's fair. Well, one of the things, also like there's those back then days, 15 years ago, 11, 12 years ago, you're kind of in a different place, professionally and even personally right now. Basically you kind of, almost like flipped the switch. You had admitted, after Black Friday that there were, some mistakes that you had made as far as playing, and, good on you. You can't just put a person's mistakes and, they got a scarlet letter for the rest of their lives. You've rehabilitated yourself personally, not just as an image thing to look good, but you genuinely are a very different person. And you have attributed that very publicly to, meeting your now wife, Sonia, I'm pronouncing it right, Sonia. Maybe you could talk a little bit about that sort of time, whatever sort of internal turmoil you may have been going through, and how you sort of work yourself out of it, I guess with Sonia's help.
Yeah, I mean, I've definitely grown up a lot since then. Like, yeah, like certainly that like poker part of like my early, late teens, early 20s was like very fun and exciting, but like I was kind of a mess in other areas, honestly. And yeah, it was just the balance wasn't really there, and like I mean, like socially, there was like struggles. Like, I think I spent a lot of my free time like trying to get good at a game where like my friends were out socializing, and like probably that like showed up. And yeah, I mean, I just had a lot of like issues with like self confidence and self esteem back then too. So yeah, I just I feel great about where I've gotten to now, and certainly Sonia's been instrumental in helping me to like grow up because yeah, I do think I was kind of like a big kid for a lot of my like my early 20s, and maybe that's not that uncommon, but yeah, I mean, I just feel like a completely different person now, pretty much. And she's been very helpful, and just like all other kinds of stuff I've done for like personal growth, and just like working on maintaining life balance. And certainly, I mean, having a kid is a quick way to grow up in a hurry.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's good. Yeah. Well, part of the reason I ask, we don't like to, reflect, oh, I did those bad things then, but it's more of like with life experience comes wisdom. And that's the type of thing that we're able to impart to people now, perhaps who, they see you in on TV and they get enchanted. And I want to go ahead and get into it. And I'm just, 21 years old and starting to get into it. So from your experience, from the transformation you experienced, are there any sort of tips or things that you could impart, with this life experience to players who are just getting into it, maybe some do's and don'ts that would perhaps give them a leg up and help them along the way?
It's really tough because in a way, like I think the fact that I like, went so hard with poker is what helped me to become the like as good of a player as I was back then. But also like I think it inhibited me in other areas of life. So it's really hard to find that sweet spot of like, just putting enough effort into the poker part while still growing as a person in other ways at the same time. And I think, for me, I had to like play catch up, but also if I if I didn't put that time in poker back then, I don't know if I ever would have like gotten good enough at it to like think of it as a career path or what. So it's challenging, but certainly now, I mean, yeah, I think what's working for me now is just having different areas of my life that I can like hang my hat on. Whereas like for a while, I think poker was kind of the one thing that I could look at and be like, yeah, I'm good at that. Like that's a source of pride for me. But like, now just having other hats, like, being a husband and a father, and having like, hobbies that I care about, or like volunteering is something that I've done some of that I think is really meaningful, and like, something I could take pride in. So yeah, I think it's just important to, and especially helpful during downswings, because if you're putting all your mental energy into poker and then it's not going well, that's like, I think in my experience, that's an easy way for, it to really mess with your head and cause you to get in a mental funk. But if you have other areas of your life that you can, be like, okay, poker's not going well, but this is great. This is great. Like a lot more healthy for mental health.
That's good. And then of course, mental health is so important. I didn't know about volunteering, care to share a little bit more, types of things that you do and devote your time to?
So that hasn't really been recently. I mean, more recently, I'd say the family time has kind of like taken up that. But I mean, when we were in Fort Lauderdale, especially before having a kid, we did like pretty regularly do there was like a Friday night like food serve for the homeless that we would go volunteer at. So that was the main thing, but also occasionally just like some other community events like beach cleanups and that kind of thing. And yeah, I mean, I think volunteering is really cool. It's a way to make a difference. It's a way to meet people too. It's like I know I talk to a lot of people who are like, oh, how do I make friends, or how do I find someone who could be a partner? I think volunteering is great for those things too, as well as just like actually doing good stuff and like really making a difference.
I love it. Very cool. Good recommendations there. And I think that certainly answers the question of type of tips, how to find that sort of balance even when choosing, to really dig into it and try to succeed in poker, there's a lot of other things, and like you said, to hang your hat on and to anchor you down. Okay. How do I phrase this question? Okay. So you said, of course, the Viktor Blom thing, you're known for that. Obviously, you're known for so much more now. You have accomplished so much more in the tournament realm, all the bracelets and stuff. You had kind of a ridiculous run at the WSOP in 2015, almost won Player of the Year. You had 2 bracelets. And, those who followed your career, they could see the difference in you. There was just a personal happiness, kind of like, I don't know, like something's lifting you up a little bit more. And again, that's, I think, around the time that you had met Sonia. To what, and we talk about, saying like being in a good frame of mind. You can go ahead and know all the math and, know all the tells and have practiced so much, but mental game is a very good thing. And I think clearly there's a connection between happiness and performance. Even if the results don't necessarily go well, you can only look back, did I perform as well as I could? Could you tell us perhaps how you sort of experienced that? Because again, you were phenomenally successful before that time, and yet there was something else that kind of carried and catapulted you, and I think it was that happiness. Can you tell us about that?
So I did start dating Sonia in late 2014. So 2015 was, World Series was, say, 6 months after we started. And I was very happy then, but I mean, I do also want to just share that I am bipolar, and I would say that year I was also toward the higher end of that spectrum too. So while I was happy, I think there was some unhealthy things going on there too. And I'm happy that in the last few years, I feel like I've gotten to a nice balanced place there.
Mhm.
But in 2015, I mean, it was actually good for performance. I mean, I think I would call it hypomania, the state I was in.
Wow.
And I mean, I think even if you look at what's it called? if you read about hypomania, like it will say that like it can be good for performance even. So like I mean that state does tend to give focus to whatever you're doing, but yeah, it's also not really sustainable, and there's some other downsides too. But yeah, so generally, I do think mental health is very important in poker, and just like the whole mental game. I know there are some great mental coaches in the poker world. I haven't done any one-on-one training with any of them, but I know I read a Mental Game of Poker by Jared Tendler and thought it was really good.
Sure.
And I mean, I've heard of a number of other great works, but yeah, just in general, I think mental game is probably underrated by some people, and I think something that everybody should be paying attention to, in addition to just working on the actual gameplay of poker and strategy and doing work in the lab and all that.
Sure. Okay. Well, you did mention Jared Tendler, so I kind of feel obligated. That's what's episode 35 here on the CardsChat podcast. If anyone wants to go ahead and listen to that one, that was a really fun listen as well. And of course, this is episode 68. Lots of good listening for you guys after you finish this episode. If you're looking for something else to fill the time while driving or training or walking or whatever it is. And one other thing I want to ask you, you're coming to us from Florida, you've lived there for a while. It's a big hotbed of poker activity these days. Do you have a favorite place to play in the state? And okay, so I'll ask that part one first. Is there a favorite, Florida poker venue for you?
I mean, I have to go with the Seminole Hard Rock in Hollywood. I lived 20 minutes away for quite a while, living in the Jacksonville area now, but I still try to make it down for all their big series, and I'll be there in 10 days for some of the Lucky Hearts Poker Open down there. Excited for that.
Shout out to the WPT, right?
January 20th is when I'm heading down. So.
Okay, cool. Very cool. Eyeing that WPT title. Well, besides poker, you mentioned that balance. You've got, like I said, married +1. Do you have time to do any sort of other extracurricular activities, some you time, any other hobbies that you engage in?
Not much.
Okay, that's fair.
I mean, I've always liked to read.
Netflix can be a hobby.
That's okay. In my free time, like I try to just read some stuff. I haven't been on any books recently, but I do like to go through some books and recently though, my thing in lieu of that has been I've been binging a podcast season on the French Revolution, so that's been pretty fascinating. So, but yeah, like I
Called
mean,
for
with
those
the
maybe interested.
but it's called, the podcast is called Revolutions. So,
Okay, cool.
If but yeah, for the most part though, family time and poker takes up a very large chunk of my time. I mean, I still like watching sports. I watch the NBA is my favorite league. I watch a lot of NBA, but some other stuff too. Um, but yeah, then other than that, it's a lot of family and poker, I'd say.
That's fair and it's good. That definitely provides that balance. And I'm a family man as well. I got 3 kids, and I know it definitely helps keep you grounded. You know, like doing those non-poker related activities, but with a wife and children, it's definitely helps keep you normal. Beyond being a poker
Yeah,
pro.
it's really like caused me to just kind of think about what like how to prioritize my time and like what really matters to me, and just like so there's like some things that like I used to do, but I'm like like if I have like 3 hours of free time in a day, which is actually probably higher than it is really if you take out poker. Yeah, like how do I want to spend that time? And so yeah, it caused me to just to reevaluate my priorities. I do like to play tennis, but it's been a while. I need to get back out there. We did just move here in May, and it's been I haven't really found like a good regular like partner to play with or anything. So I think that's kind of inhibited that. Plus, it's also we're in the suburbs, so it's just too a further drive like back in Fort Lauderdale. I could drive 5-10 minutes and be at the court, and just here it's more like 30. So.
So where in Florida are you now?
We're in the Jacksonville area, just like
Okay.
south of Jacksonville in St. Johns County.
Okay, so anyone out there in the Jacksonville area, Brian's looking for a tennis partner.
Yeah,
Hit him up. Yeah.
Okay.
Very cool. Well, in poker, we talk a lot about changing gears, and to a very large degree, that is something that you had to do after Black Friday, changing from online to live playing. You did so with a lot of success. It didn't take you long. You finished. I got some results here, just looking at Mob. Second in the 5K heads up at EPT Madrid for 68K. You won the WPT in Hollywood, Florida for 213K. Eighth in the WSOP Europe, 10K mixed hold'em. I mean, that's pretty awesome. Was it just sort of easy and natural for you, or were there other sort of hurdles you had to, I don't know, overcome as you became, the live player you currently are today?
I mean, at least by that point, I think like I was comfortable playing live, because I think, I turned 21 in the summer of 2009. So that's when I like made my like World Series debut. And like definitely at first, like, yeah, I wasn't very good live. It was just weird to adjust to the pace of play and like, just the whole different atmosphere and everything.
Right.
So yeah, I think I
Hard to
bricked a considerable amount of
also.
World Series tournaments before cashing any. But once I got comfortable though, like, I think I just felt comfortable, and it didn't feel much different switching back and forth between online and live. I did also, after Black Friday, move to Vancouver for 3 months and get set up online up there, and I was playing online pretty regularly. But that trip to Europe, or one of the trips to Europe anyway, was kind of right in the middle of that 3-month Vancouver stay. So that was when I played like World Series Europe and Con and all that. But yeah, I still played a decent amount of online then. But then, yeah, I was only there for 3 months. Actually, was struggling with mental health. On the other end of the spectrum was depression after that.
Yeah.
Just moved back, just kind of took it easy for a few months. And then I think it was the following summer that I like won that tournament in Florida, I think. And I believe I also won a bracelet that following summer in the 10K heads up.
Yeah, that is my next question actually about the bracelets. You win your first bracelet, 10K heads up. After being, renowned as the online heads up specialist, did that kind of feel, I don't know, like in the stars, as it were, of like, extra special that it was in that event that you won your bracelet?
Well, definitely at that point, I was more playing like heads up PLO online. So, like I had been, I had played a decent amount of heads up no limit like years before that, but by that time I wasn't doing so much of that. So a little bit, but yeah, so it wasn't like, if it was a heads up PLO tournament, like, yes, it would have felt like totally, oh yeah, this is my event. But heads up no limit, like, I felt like I could hang, but like certainly there are some tough players in that field who I think were probably favorites against me.
So run good?
Yeah.
Okay, fair. I like the honesty.
No, like I mean, like I think I was probably like doing fine in the field overall, but like
Uh,
not like the best player in the field or anything.
okay, that's fair. Variance can work in numerous ways. And then you go ahead and become a mixed game beast. You rattle off 4 bracelets over the next few years, including this fall, the 10K stud 8 or better. It's all come in mixed games. How did you sort of get started in mixed games, and what enticed you to sort of make that move from no limit to PLO to I play everything now?
I mean, really at the beginning, it was just like, again, looking at the lobbies of online poker sites and being like, oh, there are some big games going. This looks interesting. And then like, being like, oh, I play with these guys in this other game, and like I could beat them at that. So I should learn how to play this. Like, it wasn't really like, yeah, that's pretty much all it was. And
Okay.
certainly at first, I think I like dove in a little bit too fast to some of like the bigger cash games and paid the price for that. But yeah, it did help me certainly learn pretty fast.
Okay. Well, is that, I mean, there aren't nearly as many resources as far as like book learning or poker training sites or things like that for mixed games. You just kind of have to like take your lumps and, learn fire, what's it called? Learn it through going
Uh,
through the fire, that kind of a thing.
oh yeah, just kind of yeah, I know what you're talking
Trial
about.
by
Is it saying
fire.
like just put your feet right in the fire, or
Yeah,
I don't
exactly. Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I will plug a few resources here for mixed games.
Okay.
ProPokerTools.com has been always very helpful to me. It's just like a simple free tool for running equity calculations. You can do hand versus range or range versus range. Has supports pretty much every. Well, I think they don't have draw still, but like every stud game, every Omaha game. So helpful. And then also, Dylan Lynn's book, Mastering Mixed Games. I actually read a few chapters this summer, or this past World Series, just for like little refreshers before playing a few events, and I thought it was helpful in terms of that. So
Nice.
certainly think it could help a lot of people who are especially just like new to mixed games, and yeah, or just need a refresher like me.
Well, Dylan Lindy, got to mention also he was episode number 49. So go ahead and check that one out. Also, wonderful guy. Great book by D&B Poker. Do you have a favorite mixed game that you enjoy playing?
Um, I always enjoy playing Deuce of Seven Triple Draw for one. Just it's like a fun game. It's just like a lot of just like kind of gamble. There is certainly plenty of strategy behind it, but also just a lot of like run good in the moment, like short term, like just try to run. Um, I like the stud games a lot too, though. Stud High has always like kind of stood out as like a favorite for me, just because I think a lot of other people just like don't really like it, but and like it's like sort of known as like an old timers game, but like
Yeah.
I think there's a lot more to it than a lot of people see, or like you know I think yeah, just like I think a lot that you can do that like kind of is not with the conventional old school wisdom with Stud High, but actually performs really well. But I like all the stud games though also.
Right? Why should someone who has only played No Limit until now, be they 21 or 31 or 41 years old, why should they get more into mixed games, try the studs, the draws, and all that stuff?
I mean, I guess it just depends on what your goals are. And like, I mean, for some people, it might not be the best move because, yeah, like, at the current moment, there's not as many places to play really.
Yeah.
So I guess it just depends, where you are and what games you have access to. But so yeah, like personally for me, I've kind of circled back and like gotten a lot back more to no limit over the last couple of years for that reason. It's like, just I know there are no limit games and tournaments all over the place, so whatever I'm working on, I can put into practice. Whereas for mixed games, there's not like even if I want to play mixed games, there's not always a mixed game to play. So
Right.
that said, it is a lot of fun. Certainly, if you find the right mixed game, I mean, like playing live mix is some of the most fun I've ever had playing poker. I would say, just because it's like really social. It's like laid back. It's not too intense. It's like because nobody's getting stacked and like it's just the hands aren't too like bloody
Usually,
for anyone.
usually no.
Well, not in one hand, like over
Right,
the course of like 10 hands.
right, right.
But yeah, there's just not these like giant pots that are like kind of like no limit games can feel like pretty intense. I think sometimes, at least at relatively higher stakes.
Right.
Sometimes at lower stakes too. But yeah, for mixed games, like you could be playing a pretty sizable mixed game, and still just a lot of table talk and trash talk, and it's just like a different like fun atmosphere, and like sort of like a little fraternity of sorts of like mixed game players, because there's not as many out there, and like there's like some kind of like bond there, I'd say.
Nice. And I would even go so far as to say, and I will toot my own horn on this. We had the Mixed Game Festival, low stakes, 4-8 dealer's choice. That's where I said where I got to meet you. You were kind enough to come. I mean, listen, Brian Hastings, who's busy winning bracelets, came and stopped by the West Gate a few weeks ago to just splash around, have a little bit of fun during the World Series. How important is it to you that players have additional options besides just playing bracelet events? I mean, everyone's in Vegas during the World Series of Poker. What I tried to do there is also just give it to low stakes players and have something for them as well. We had a platinum pass, that sort of thing. But in your opinion, do you think it's important that there be a whole variety of options for all different types of poker players during the World Series or during the entire year, or should it be, much more focused like it currently is?
I mean, I'm all for more options for everyone. I thought the festival was really cool. I had a lot of fun coming by for a few hours and playing. It was very enjoyable.
Thanks.
I forget, what was that one game called? The one game we played in the next was so fun. I don't remember the name.
They had 3-2-1, Omajack, 7-7-7.
Omajack. That was it.
Okay.
Yeah, very fun game.
It's a half Omaha High, half blackjack for anyone who's interested.
Yeah, it was like actually a really interesting like strategy game, I thought, and also fun and gambling.
Yeah,
that was a really good game. But yeah, no, I like the idea of having stuff available for everyone. I mean, for one thing, not everyone has the time to play tournaments. Like it is what it is. Like the people are busy. Like tournaments take most of the day, and for a few days usually.
right.
I mean, a lot of the bracelet events are 3 and 4 day tournaments. So yeah, I mean, just not everybody can do that. But yeah, I mean, I think having a healthy cash game economy in general, just having a variety of options is just good for poker all around. And I mean, I know just personally, like one thing I really do miss about the old days of online poker is like on a given day, I could be like, oh, I want to play no limit today, and I could just do that, or like I want to play stud or just 8 game or tournaments, whatever. Like just just no shortage of options, and like I mean that was just really cool. I've always liked just being able to like kind of change it up and kind of help me like stay mentally sharp and fresh. So
More variety is better.
And different people just have different preferences and different games they like. So
cool.
Yeah,
hopefully the vendors, the operators will heed that advice, and it's good to have something for everybody. I concur with your opinion. I said you came over from the Rio. We all know it will not be at the Rio anymore. The WSOP is moving to Bally's, to Paris next year. Let's have Mr. Brian Hastings say goodbye to the Rio. What sort of favorite memories do you perhaps have from your time there, from your successes there over the years?
I mean, obviously for me, the bracelet wins really stand out, but also there was one series. I'm trying to. I don't even think I was. Wait, maybe. Sorry, maybe I was 21 then. I don't know, but I remember I had 2 friends who both got like top 30 of the main event, and I had like considerable pieces of in the main event. So that was really fun. Like I think I was old enough because I think I played that year, but it was it was right around when I turned 21, I think. And yeah, just like going to like sweat them in like the final 100 was like so much fun, and so that also stands out. But yeah, I mean, it was really weird like saying goodbye to the Rio. The last day I was there, I like took some pictures. It was just like yeah, it was like kind of a weird like emotional thing, because like yeah, I mean I even went there to just like watch friends play before I was 21 even. So yeah, it's been a while.
That's cool. Okay. Anything in particular you're looking forward to at the next WSOP on the Strip?
I mean, I'm cautiously optimistic, I guess. I hope the execution works out. I don't know that much about the facilities. I mean, I think I read like one article about just like a little tour, but like, I do think the parking at the Rio was a huge asset, and I'm curious to see how that plays out. I mean, I know personally, like most World Series, I have stayed in like an off-strip rental and rented a car and driven. So I might not this year just because of this. Like I might just change it up and be like, oh, it's actually easier to stay on the strip and walk or something.
Right.
Like,
Oh, I guess
because
we'll
yeah,
see
the
how
parking
people
could
pivot.
be a challenge, but we'll see.
Right. All right.
Hope,
So
hopefully they, I mean, I'm sure they are aware of this, and hopefully they have a plan for
right. Okay. Yeah, that's true. And look, just like
it.
anything, when people change how they play against you at the poker table, you got to make the appropriate adjustments. So perhaps that adjustment is, a little bit more walking, maybe take the monorail, and we'll see a little bit more of that at
I've
the
been on the monorail once
WSOP.
or twice. Yeah.
Yeah, it's fun. And look, it's not not like the Disneyland monorail or anything like that, but it's
No,
okay. It's okay.
I've
Or
taken the
Disney
Disney
World.
monorail many times. Yeah.
Right. That one's a fun one.
Yes.
You've been, we talked a little bit about coaching and training, studying, getting in the lab. You've been into that for quite a long time, not only now with Run It Once, but even going back, way back to the card runners days of the mid 2000s. Like I said, every time Dick and Harry's, doing something with the poker training site, whether either involved in one or enrolled in taking a course. We talked about how poker play has evolved over the last 15 years. How has poker training evolved? You've been someone who's been present in that little sort of niche for quite a while.
I mean, I'd say so. Yeah, I started making videos for Run It Once in, I believe, September, and I mean, I'd say the main thing I've realized is just like just the quality of the training has just gone steadily up over the years. So like, I feel like now I just have to spend quite a bit more time like preparing and actually having like a focused plan. Whereas with card runners, I think a lot of the time I would just kind of pop on and be like, okay, yeah, I'm going to play a live session and just just roll the tape and just comment and that's it. But with like, and occasionally I will still do like a live play video, but like I think those are fewer and further between now. And like, I mean, like the most recent video I made was like a deep dive into like one pre-flop spot using Pino Solver and like with 3 different stack sizes and like running. I think I used like 6 different sims in the thing. So yeah, it's come a long way in terms of like, yeah, I mean, there's just like so much quality content out there that I feel like I really need to like step it up and just make sure I'm heavily prepared and bringing my best, bringing my A game, and yeah. So
many people say that as far as bringing their A game when it comes to play and approaching the tables, and you clearly attribute some importance to bringing your A game as a coach. What do you enjoy about creating poker training materials and helping other players get better?
Well, I guess I just know for one thing it's benefited me a lot. I mean, I've always both on Card Runners and Run It Once. Before I started making videos for the sites, I was a member. I was a member of both sites from basically day one, and I've watched a lot of poker training videos over the course of my life, and I've benefited a lot from them. And yeah, I mean, I think it's cool to do some myself, and I mean, it's a fun challenge for me that kind of gets me a little bit out of my comfort zone too, because for me, like logging on and playing is like, I mean, it's not, I'm not saying it's easy, but it's still just like kind of what I'm used to. It's enjoyable. It's just like, making videos enjoyable in a different way, but like certainly requires a different kind of like focus and preparation that like, and also I feel like it helps me learn too. Cause like a lot of these videos I'll be making, I'll be kind of learning while I'm teaching sort of, which is sort of nice to be able to do both at once.
Had folks come up to you or send you messages of like, hey, that thing you taught me really helped, or in a particular spot because I watched your video, I was able to make the right decision. Has that ever happened?
Oh yeah, those are really rewarding. Certainly, I mean, obviously, since I made card runners videos for a lot longer and a lot longer ago, I've certainly got plenty of those over the years where someone would come and say like, hey, I learned how to play PLO from your videos, like thanks so much, like that kind of thing. And yeah, that is pretty gratifying.
Cool. Good to hear. And I imagine that's also something that helps keep light the fire, keep you going like beyond that personal thing that you're supposed to benefit from. I like it. Very cool. Okay, I mentioned it, not once, not twice, and I still like I can't help. And I remember when you told me, you're just 33 years old. When you told me in person, I was just like, how it's just like it's incredible. And I know I'm perhaps making a little bit too much for it of it. I'm 40. I've been in poker also for quite a long time. You've just achieved so damn much, and you're just 33. So many people, this dream, when you're young, oh no, be rich and successful someday, retire on a beach. Yet you come with hunger, with with the fire. You still want to win. what is it that kind of keeps that going for you? Why don't you just say, no, hey, I've done pretty well for myself. What keeps you motivated as a player to, just keep on playing and succeeding?
It's a really good question. So for me, it really has always just kind of been about the journey, like
Mm.
it's not about the destination, it's the journey type thing. Like, it's always been like that for me. Like, and when I first got into poker, like, while I was definitely, enticed by the fact that you could make a lot of money doing it. I wasn't really, it's not like I was really doing it like for the money. I was never like of that, like, oh, I want to retire by 30 or anything like that.
Right.
Like
Okay.
it was always like, I think at first, especially at first, because I was literally under 18 and I was like not cashing out, but it just felt like a video game. I was just like trying to make a new high scores. It was just numbers on a screen. I was like,
Sure.
yeah, I was like, I didn't cash out until I was 18 because I was like afraid I was gonna get confiscated or something. But
Yeah.
yeah, but yeah, certainly that's like kind of just how I approached it. And then I was just, I was just doing so well by that point that like, yeah, I mean, at the time I was just starting to go to college. Like my friends around me didn't have any money at all. So
Right.
like it was, yeah, I mean, it just felt like, I mean, for a while I was like, prior to cashing out, I was like, Card Runners was paying me $1,000 a month to make videos, and I would get those $1,000 checks from Card Runners, and that was like made me feel like wealthy because like that was so much more than like any of my friends had. So
And that was real
but
tangible money that you had in your hand.
yeah, right. That
Right.
was actually like being like, money I could spend and stuff. But
Hmm.
yeah, I mean, still now, like I don't know. I've just always been like really motivated by the game. Like I like games in general too. Like I'm a big fan of chess, for example, and I've like I've put a lot of effort into trying to get good at chess with mixed results, I would say. But like there's no like financial motivation there. It's just like kind of a fun challenge for me. Like in a way, like poker is that too. Like obviously, money is part of the picture in poker too, but I've also just been motivated with the challenge of trying to be the best player I can be, and just I really do enjoy like working on my game and studying and improving. So yeah, I think it's really that just like keeps me going.
Well, the last question I've got for you then, before we go into the community questions, if it's not the destination and it's the journey, where would you like the journey to sort of take you? What would you like the journey to look like in 2022?
So we have a few fun family trips planned. Most notably, we're hoping to go to France for Sonia's 35th birthday in May. So
Nice.
nothing booked yet, but we'll see how that goes. Also, I have been focusing my poker study a lot on no limit tournaments and play it too online, but I do want to try to hit some good live no limit tournaments. So starting with this Lucky Hearts Poker Open at Hard Rock in January. Definitely going to play some win tournaments in Vegas in March for that series.
Okay.
Maybe the one in Houston also that I just heard got announced that same month. Hard Rock has another good series always in April. I plan to be there. World Series, and then I haven't gotten far enough to plan after that. We'll see.
Okay, well, very cool. I wish you a lot of success, and however the journey does end up looking, that you just enjoy the ride, and that wherever the destination is, that it's a good one for you. Well, thank you. You answered my questions, and now it's time. The segment of the show we turn to you guys, our Cards Chat community, to see what types of questions you wanted to ask our guests. We have a dedicated thread in the Cards Chat forums for this. So as we announce who our future guests will be, please be sure to send in your questions. And our first questions come to us from Acid Burn FX, a regular contributor. Thank you so much for sending these in. Brian, Acid Burn FX wants to know, do you like to tell people that you're a professional poker player?
I'd say on average, no. It depends who it is though. But like
Okay.
for more times than not, I would say no, just because then it just invites the whole like just kind of questions, like the noob questions, like, oh, do you know how to count cards and like all that stuff. It's just like whatever. It's not a big deal, but it's just like, and not again.
Yeah, yeah.
And then, but also like even just like, do I want my neighbors knowing that I like gamble for a living and might have money around the house? Like, not entirely. So stuff like that. But yeah, for the most part, I'd say don't love it, but like it's. I also, I mean, I don't like lie or anything though. I do tell, and I'm happy to answer a few questions.
Sure. But I like that also. And it was very GTO response before when we asked, where do you live now? You like Jacksonville. He doesn't live even in the state of Florida, guys. So like, I love it. It's great. Brian, another question from Acid Burn FX. What is the craziest thing that you have ever purchased with your poker winnings?
Ooh, I was still like my first major purchase was I bought an Audi S4 when I was 18 years old and a college student. So that was, yeah, that was fun rolling back into campus for I think I bought it during winter break, so just coming back in January with that was fun.
Yeah.
But let's see, craziest thing. I can recall a few times at Bellagio going on like shopping sprees at Giorgio Armani there after like having a rough session, be like, you know what, like a little retail therapy.
Oh, wow. That's
So
interesting.
I got a little out of hand buying some shoes and like suits and stuff, but I still have them though.
That's an interesting one because it's not after you've won and splurging. It's a retail therapy. It's interesting. That good twist on the question.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I'm not a big shopper though in general. Like I don't know. Yeah, it's just not really my thing. Well, I guess some of my more splurgy purchases would be like going to like events like when the Toronto Raptors played the Golden State Warriors in the NBA Finals a few years ago.
Oh, nice.
I just kind of spontaneously decided with a friend to buy tickets and plane tickets to fly to Toronto and go to Game 1. So
there you go. That's pretty cool.
That's my kind of splurge.
That's really ball experiences rather than things.
But I won more money on the Raptors winning the finals than I paid for the whole trip. So it's okay.
Go. Win-win situation. Very cool. Last question from Acid Burn FX, a very creative one. I like this one. Suppose, Brian, that you were given the chance to have a 1-minute ad spot during the Super Bowl, and you could say anything you'd want, but you were not able to make any profit from it. What would you say?
Wow, that is a really interesting question. Wow, that is fascinating.
We'll give you a time bank chip here. This is a good question.
Yeah, time extension. Yeah, like what could I say that would make a difference? I mean, I guess it would be something poker related because, like, you know, even if I wasn't directly profiting, I mean, I think just like me as a poker player trying to do something that would help grow the game of poker would be cool. So I'm not sure exactly what that would encompass, but yeah, I don't know. Maybe even like just promoting like Dan Smith's like double up drive or something would be cool because then it like shows that the poker world is doing good things and also might help get more donations to good charities. So
awesome answer. Love it. Push to the when it was back to the wall, comes up with the swinging for the fences. Great stuff. Great answer there.
All right, how many time extensions do I have?
You have one. You're good. We'll give you as many as you need. Antonis 32123. Thank you for sending in your questions. He wants to know, Brian, you already have 5 World Series of Poker bracelets. Do you have a particular number in mind or something like that? Hey, it'd be really cool to win this specific number of bracelets in your career, or does it not matter to you?
I wouldn't say I have a particular number in mind. I'd say my main like bracelet goal right now is I really just want to win one in no limit because like I mean I did win the heads up no limit one back in 2012, but like other than that I haven't won any no limit bracelets. And yeah, I mean especially like recently I've like been working pretty hard on my no limit tournament game, so that would feel really good to just get one of those. So I mean I did play more no limit tournaments this past year than in past years. Didn't really succeed in any of them. I did actually. I remember I had a stack on like day 2 of the Millionaire Maker, and I made the money, but that's about it. I think I was out before the end of day 2. But yeah, I'd say that's my main bracelet goal right now. But you know, I mean, I'm gonna keep coming to the series and playing it, so we'll see.
Okay, cool. Good luck. Further question from Antonis 32123. What win, and we got a lot to choose from here. What win, either online or live, stands out to you as the top highlight of your poker career?
I mean, I would have to pick the Viktor Bloms match if I had to pick, you know, one win that really stands out. But if we're gonna go for a tournament, though, I think, I mean, 10K stud was cool just because, I don't know, there's just a lot of things coming together there. Like it was that summer of 2015. I had a lot of bracelet bets that year, and that like won me the bracelet bets. I, you know, just And it was just kind of a dominating performance too, which I mean, obviously there's a lot of run good involved there, but like I remember I just had like over 50% of the chips with like 6 players left or something like that. It was like really ridiculous. So
Yeah,
that was a fun live tournament win.
cool. I like it. Good answers. But fun to have a whole Rolodex of wins to choose from. It's good stuff. Our final question asker, Crystals. Thank you very much for sending these couple of questions in. Brian, Crystals wants to know, of your 5 WSOP bracelets, which one was the most difficult for you to win?
Most difficult. It's funny because like I mean three of the bracelets I won are in like extremely small fields, granted tough fields, but I mean I, I'll go with this last one actually just because it was a really tough like field toward the end. Like the final table was stacked. The 10K study, it was like John Monette, Eric Seidel, Scott Seaver. I don't know. I mean, it was just a completely stacked final table. So I felt really good about the fact that I was able to just kind of put it together against that crew, and I really felt great about how I played, especially since I hadn't played a lot of study like in the year leading up. Aside from like practicing a bit in like the weeks leading up, one thing I would do a lot actually is go on WSOP.com at night and just play a little bit of like 10-20, like 08 and study to like brush up. And that was actually really helpful. So
Right. Okay. I just sort of feel obligated. I know we're in the community questions, but I feel obligated to follow up on that specific answer. Anyone who follows poker, you hear the names, Scott Seaver, John Monette, Eric Seidel. Wow, that is like a ridiculously tough stacked table. I'm just kind of wondering, you're Brian Hastings as well. You're also a big name. We just know names, but I guess without going too deep into strategy and play, but what is it that makes it tough to play at a table like that we don't have so many talented players?
I mean, they're just really good players. They're going to make good decisions. They're going to put me in tough spots. And it can be easy to like go get in your head and level yourself a little bit and like kind of have some self-doubt. I would say in this instance, I didn't really have too much of that. Like I felt confident and I felt like, I could hang with those guys, but yeah, I mean, it certainly can be a tougher thing, just even mentally, on top of just the fact that they're already just going to be in there and making good decisions and just playing really well and making it tough for you.
Thank you. Thanks for answering that one. Our final question that we have for you before we wrap it up. Crystals again wants to know: do you believe, Brian, that online poker is beatable for a recreational player these days?
I guess it depends like what you're playing, and I mean, recreational player can be a broad definition. It depends on, if you're putting in any kind of like study work, or if you're just kind of trying to like log on for an hour at the end of your day and like splash around. So I mean, yeah, I guess it just depends on what you're playing. I'd say certainly probably sticking to like lower buy-in tournaments would be probably the easiest way to beat it. I would guess. Maybe I mean, I haven't been following too much, but those like jackpot style sit and goes, I could see there being like those being beatable too. So
okay, cool, good answer. Guys, thank you so much for sending in your questions for Brian Hastings. And again, just a friendly reminder to all of you out there in the Cards Chat community, we would love to see you submit your questions for our future podcast guests in the dedicated thread on the forums. And I will say, we have been seeing some new names submit the questions for recent episodes. So thank you very much, everyone. Please be sure to give us a good review on iTunes and spread the word via your social media channels if you liked the show. Brian, before we let you go, is there anything else you'd like to share with our audience?
I mean, I guess I'll just plug that. Yeah, I am making videos at Run It Once training, and a lot of other great coaches there. I've personally been a member since the beginning and watch a lot of videos when I get the time to do that. So yeah, Run It Once.
There you go, Run It Once. Brian Hastings, thank you so much again, Brian. Thank you all for tuning in to another episode of the Cards Chat podcast. I'm Robbie Strazynski. You can follow me on Twitter at CardPlayerLife. I wish you all a wonderful day.